Hello, my name is Valdo Lallemand. I'm a relationship coach. I created the Vibrant Couple to further my purpose of liberating love through connection and playfulness. Welcome to our series on emotional intelligence. The past 8 videos were to lay the foundations of emotional intelligence, what it is, what are feelings, what are needs, and critically in a relationship, what is empathy. Today we are diving into problems that plague many couples, and we are going to start with harsh starts. We are going to explore John Gottman's Love Labs. We are going to take a look at what a harsh start is. We're going to look at 2 different examples, and then we're going to look at how we can soften a soft start. John Gottman is credited for having said that he can predict over 90% if a marriage will last or it will fail within 15 minutes of a conversation with a couple. How did he do that? So he created a love lab at the University of Washington. He basically replicated an apartment, but somehow a strange apartment because it has lots of cameras that enable his team of researchers to observe people's every movement and facial expressions. And they have a number of sensors that enable them to observe in real time heart rate, stress level, and a number of different factors that are really important to one's emotional well-being. One of the things he did was to basically bring science at a time in which we did talk about personal trauma. There was some talk about codependency, of course, but there was very little on co-regulations, which is what good couples do as a way of bringing each other in a resourced state. In my previous videos, I brought a model with 3 colors to enable to gauge one's ability to serve others. And so green is when you're resourced and red when you are reactive. You can imagine that in green you can serve others well, and in red almost whatever is going to happen will be reactive and therefore not serving others. So what is a harsh start? Well, it is very simple. A harsh start is a harsh start. Basically, when one partner, typically in a state of reactivity, starts expressing to their partner what is going on for them in a way that is much too quick, much too harsh, and, sorry for the pun, startles them. And so, as a result of being startled, the partner also becomes in a state of reactivity. So I'm going to bring 2 classic scenarios, which I'm pretty sure you have observed, if not experienced, in your current couple or in a past one. I am intentionally going to go for a man-woman couple in both times, not because of the stereotype, not because I believe it should only man and wife, not because I believe any of those things, just because I want to make sure that you grasp what it is and you're able to see it when it happens in the future. Example 1, we have the man doing something somewhat distractedly, and his woman, wife, partner, whatever their relationship is, would tell him, "You never pay attention to me." The important part here is we go from 0 to 60 instantly. So just imagine he was doing something distractedly, looking at his phone, whatever that was does not really matter. And then suddenly he's startled by her, "You never pay attention to me." I have no intent of assigning any responsibility, any blame to these couples. It is very possible that he is an alcoholic and that's her birthday and the anniversary and he forgot about both, and on and on and on. So whatever the content is does not really matter, although that's what is really pissing her off. What does matter is the harsh start. On her end, she can give herself self-empathy, as we just saw in video 8, and basically calm herself down and say, I'm really upset because I have a need, let's say, for acceptance. And then from that point of view, soothe herself. And then saying, hey, darling, do you remember today is my birthday? Oh, I totally forgot. I was totally absorbed in work. And on and on and on. The content of the conversation here does not really matter. What does matter is that he was not startled. Alternate option to soften the start, he is able to remain resourced through the startlement. I don't know if it's an English word, but I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm talking about. And he's able to find ways to calm her nervous system down. The second relationship tool that my friend Monique and I recorded, you can find the link up there, is give me A, and then A on a scale of 1 to 5. So in this case, he could somehow playfully, and he can remain playful because he's resourced. So he could playfully say, hey darling, that was a 4, please give me a 5. And consequently, invite her to become playful, to have some awareness about the harsh start, and then start lowering down. Give me a 3, give me a 2, give me a 1. And basically a 1 is a soft start. Second example, let's pretend that a man just made a sexual advance to his wife and she says no. Of course, it is totally her right and a sovereignty to say no. And there may be lots of really good reasons why she said that. Maybe he doesn't know how to ask. Maybe it's already been the 57th time this week. Maybe this, maybe this, maybe that. At this point, it does not matter for our conversation. What does matter is that he startles her by going from 0 to 60 instantly with a harsh start. So the harsh start would be, why do you always say no to sex? So you can imagine that this is jarring, startling to her nervous system, and that the chance that she gets into a reactive mode is pretty high. So by now, I make the assumption that you understand the startling nature of a harsh start and want to somehow find ways to remove them from your couple's vocabulary. We looked at 2 different ways of softening our first example. Let's use 2 examples of softening this. One of the ways would be to say, hey darling, I'm so sorry with the way that came out. It's been a long, difficult week for me. I was hoping for us to have some fun playtime and be able to relax for the weekend. I'm so sorry with how I startled you. In this case, he's not necessarily trying to soften his start, but at least he acknowledges it. He acknowledges the impact on her and apologizes for her, which often goes a long way. Alternately, he can have watched the first video that Monique and I made on relationship tools with take 1, 2, 3, and there is a link up there if you are interested. So he would say, hey darling, take 1 was terrible. Would you be willing for me to do a take 2? So of course her consent here is critical because everything must be done with consent. So he would do an attempt at a take 2. It would likely be cumbersome at the beginning because this is something that he's practicing. He understands that he just did a soft start. He understands that he startled his partner and that there are better ways of communicating. The good news here is that for many women, a man who is trying, who is exploring new ways of better communicating with her is typically well received by women. So he goes on and says, darling, I made an invitation for you to have sex, and I feel often that I'm rejected, and that does not feel good. I would love to have something more playful, more fluid between you and I about sex. In this case, his take two is fairly unskilled, but at least it is not a harsh start. So maybe she says, darling, I've been feeling the same, and I also want to explore how we can have more fun and playful and mutually beneficial sex with each other. So in that case, his take two worked as a way of softening the start, but it is also possible that it's not working enough. And depending on the reaction of his partner, he says, darling, I have the impression that my take two did not land well on you. Would you be willing that I do a take three? And so, of course, with her consent, he would explore take three. So, darling, I would love you and I to have a fluid and playful sexual relationship. I would love that sometimes we explore how to do that. Is this something that you would be willing to do with me? Here, of course, the content is important. What is really important is that he was able to transform a harsh start, which was take one, into a soft start, which is take three. We looked at harsh starts from a somewhat technical point of view, which is basically what they are. They are just starting from 0-60 in just a heartbeat, and as a result, startling our partner. I hope this video was helpful to you. In future videos, we are going to look at other challenges that plague couples. Next are John Gottman's 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which are criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Because I believe that are so important to understand in a couple, I'm going to make one video each. If this video inspired you to develop more emotional intelligence, both personally and in your couple, I invite you to hit the like button below and subscribe so you can be notified when I publish new juicy content. And please share this video with all you believe would benefit. I look forward to seeing you very soon.